Oh, hello, everyone. I'm just getting on here very quickly because I was actually trying to write this out. And because Mercury is retrograde and the topic is about the gates of Mercury retrograde, it seemed easier for me to just come on and talk about it because it feels like the time is right for me. So, I have been going through some serious, like the transits have really been putting me through the paces because I think, or at least this is what I feel is the gift of this, um, is that I'm doing this deconditioning blueprint course, right? And part of it is about learning how you are conditioned by outside energy through your undefined gates and channels and energy centers and all of that. So it's kind of ironic that right now I've got so much going on with the transits in my transit chart, and I wanted to show that to you. And what has been really dramatic for me is what I've been experiencing since Mercury has gone retrograde. So if you don't know, if you're not familiar with Mercury retrograde beyond, all of the pop culture stuff about how things go haywire in your technology and your communications, there's something else that happens when the energy of Mercury, which is that Mercury is that archetype of the energy for communication, expression, thought, all of that. And think about this in a logical sense. It appears that Mercury is going backwards. That energy for communication is going backwards. That energy for thought is going backwards. And how I experience that inside of me is that my thoughts and my energy for communication go internal. So I was aware that Mercury was going retrograde and just sort of watching this whole thing. And what has really happened since the Mercury retrograde transit started, which was, I think, the 17th of the month, is that I became very, very aware that I just didn't want to talk to anybody. There are other things in my transit chart that point to that I want to share with you, but I've just been in this mood of just internal contemplation, internal thought, internal consideration and communication, which has made it really kind of difficult to get some of this deconditioning blueprint course out and up. But now that I took a look at all the transits and I am back in my observer seat, which is really what this is all about, right? Is to understand the transits, to understand how outside conditioning and energies affect you, really puts you back in the observer's seat of your ride through life so that you can watch the dance unfold, so to speak. So I finally took a good look at what was going on because I've been super emotional, super in this place of deep contemplation, in sometimes this place of mental madness, and I'll show you that on the chart. And finally, I looked at the transits, and it all came into focus, and it was like, oh yeah, this is not me. So here, let me share the screen. If I remember how to do this. Okay, give me just a second here. Oh, that's really interesting. That screen I wanted to share is not here. Okay, there it is. Let me get it up, and then Okay, so here is my foundation transit chart that I just ran just a little while ago when I got the idea that I wanted to share a little bit about this. Here's Mercury, um, and when it went retrograde on the 17th, it actually went retrograde in the gate 63. So the 63 is up here on the head center, and it is known as the gate of doubt. So I was keenly aware, and I did look it up when it started, when I was feeling this shift in my energy. I was keenly aware that a lot of my thoughts had to do with uh, doubting myself, questioning the logic of the things that I was perceiving in my life, and those kinds of things that come with this energy of doubt. So, you know, just as a reminder, if you're, or maybe as a teaching for the first time, if you're new to this, whenever you have an undefined place or an open place in your chart, and someone or the celestial transits bring that energy in, you are amplifying it. So I already had a long-term transit with the 61, Pluto in 61. I already have 64 defined, and then 63 came in with Mercury. So when you actually have these three gates defined in your body graph, sometimes they're called the three gates of madness, because there's a lot of thinking in all kinds of left brain, let's see, left brain, right brain thinking, intuitive, in the moment, trying to unlock the mysteries of the universe in the 61 thinking. So when they come through in the transits, just think of experiencing that energy like it's on steroids. So that was the first thing I noticed, you know, the gate of doubt. That energy to think about things in a logical way, to question things, the logic of things, to question the viability, the truth of things. And also there's inner truth that goes on with the 61 as well. So there, you know, so I was keenly aware that if I didn't get outside, if I didn't ground myself, I was going to kind of get carried away with all of this mental activity, especially because Mercury was the one that was bringing the energy, that was bringing this theme of the 63 of doubt. And it was being amplified, and it was retrograde, meaning that I felt that energy turning in on me. So that was really interesting to observe. And then on the 21st, which was what, yesterday? I've lost the days of the week already. But anyway, when the 21st came, Mercury moved into the 37. The 37 is the gate of friendship. It is the gate of tribal bargains. And it forms with the gate 40, like it does in my chart, the channel of community. So here I am being conditioned with this energy of the 37, where it feels like the energy of considering what is my role in the tribe, what communities do I belong to. All of that stuff was sort of me thinking about it internally, if that makes sense. So anytime a transit comes through that brings a gate that completes a channel for you, there's somewhat of an internal struggle with that energy as well. You can sort of get caught up in it and think that you've got an issue, a personal issue going on, until you really step out into that observer's seat to see that it's just energy that you get to experience and dance with. And consequently, with this 37, what has happened is actually a desire to kind of deepen my relationship with my local community. It's something that I'm really considering and looking at, and actually along with the thinking about it, the communicating about it in this sort of internal retrospective, what would I call that? Reflective way. It's sort of also bringing me people who are considering those types of things as well, considering, and with that is coming some potential partnerships, potential collaborations in my own local community. So another piece of this also is with the 37 is a fear of being locked into a certain role within the tribe. So some of my own personal commitment issues have been coming up in an amplified way because I have other things in my chart around that as well. But so that also is part of this whole energetic consideration of what do I feel I can commit to. Now let's take a look at this though. The what it activates within me is emotion, and that was already being activated through the 2212. But you know, I've been keenly aware of this amplified emotion that I'm sort of filtering through my body, but also what came in, and I felt it when it came in. I always do in my body, and I'd be curious for any of you who are tracking your you know, the transits and how they affect you, if you feel this as well. If you have an undefined will center, as I do, and when a transit comes in, or someone comes in with the energy that defines the will center within that connection, what happens to me is I feel like a lot of heart pounding, since this is the heart will center and it is related to, or governed by the physical heart. When I really tune into my body, I can actually feel the energy coursing through my heart. And it actually tires me out quite a bit. So I haven't had a lot of energy because my circuits kind of get overloaded when these types of transits come in. So there's that. And then well, I'll just drop ahead here, because for those of you who are curious, the 37 is going to be in until the 55 comes in, which is another one of these gates that comes off of the solar plexus center, the emotional solar plexus, and the 55 comes in on the 27th. So there's potential there to this is the gate of abundance, you know, and it's part of this stream of energy that I call the stream of moodiness. So what also happens with this is, and the sun is in 55 right now. So, and there's kind of like this dance with the 55 and the 22 and the 37 that are, and the 30, because the 30 is actually going to be coming in March 4th into this Mercury retrograde spot. So there's this dance that we're doing with all of these themes in these different planetary positions right now. But the 55, the 22, they're part of this stream that is, if you had this in your already hardwired in your design, defined in your design, you would have these emotional waves that spike up and spike down, and they're kind of extreme. So I've been aware of that with this long-term transit of the 22, which I believe is going to be around in with Neptune in the 22. So there's a lot of murkiness around this energy, around emotions, a lot of veiled experiences with extreme intense emotions. That's going to be around until I think the 2021 or 2022 in May. But anyway, so I've been feeling that all along. I've been kind of channeling that with creative projects, because this is a channel that's really attuned to romance and music and poetry and those types of things, and creativity, that individualism, individual expression of creativity and art, and being in the mood to be social or not. So I've just sort of been riding with that consciously, while also working to remember that this emotional experience is not innately my experience, and I've been working to discharge that and stay grounded in my own spleen over here. So last week, or when the 55 came into the sun, which was a couple of days ago, it sort of, for me, what it did was it sort of amplified this emotional, hyper emotional, spiky emotional stuff that I was already experiencing. And I had this overwhelming urge. I was sitting at my desk, just caught up in my own internal thinking process, right? Not really getting a whole lot done, contemplating all this stuff with the 37. And I had this overwhelming urge just to turn the computer off and paint. So that's what I did. I was like a mad artist for about an hour and a half, painting something that I put up in my window. And it's like, I just couldn't stand it anymore. I just had to burst forth and do something creative. And then when I saw that the 55 was in, it was like, oh, that's where I'm getting that extra emotion, that needs to be moved through me, that amplified emotional energy that needs to be moved through me in this creative way. So it really kind of made sense to me that all of this stuff is, I'm just sort of along for the celestial ride. Emotions have kind of a wave pattern to them. Heart energy has a motorized rhythm of working to rest. And then over here, I've got this long-term transit of the 27. Uranus, this planet of transformation, in the 27, the gate of nurturing. So I'm also very hyper aware that I do not want to overwork myself to nurture other people. I want to stay in my own design so that I'm not over nurturing, maybe in response to all of this amplified emotion, and that I take really good care of myself, because all of this amplified sacral energy for a projector's design in particular is hard. It can fry out your entire system if you're not careful. And then add to that these spikes of emotions, this willpower, heart energy on top of that. And it's a recipe for the necessity of extra self-care, extra grounding, and extra awareness about who I am, about and what's going on around me that I'm filtering. So I just want to offer that to you as something that you can begin to kind of consider if you're looking at your own transits, or if you're looking at how you're being conditioned through these outside, whether it's the celestial transits or relationships with other people, because it is a powerful time. And maybe you have a chart that's similar to mine, and maybe you've been feeling these heart palpitations, and you've got that hanging gate 40 and the undefined will center, and you don't know why. Maybe I'm hoping that this sort of shows you that you can sit back and you can observe it without being caught up in it. There's nothing wrong with you. You're just getting to experience, in a way, what it's like. I'm thinking like of all my friends who have that individuality, that 2212 and that gate 55, the 5539, and I watch them, right? or the channel of community. I watch them and I watch how their emotions go up and down. And a lot of times I watch them and I have no idea. Like I'm aware that I'm watching them emote and I have no idea of what that's like. Like I cannot relate because I'm not emotional, but that's not part of my design normally. So for me personally, I'm getting a very, very experiential understanding of what it must be like to be in a body that has that kind of emotional chemistry. Now, of course, there's amplification. So I'm sure that for the majority of people that actually have those channels or gates in their designs, they're not nearly as feeling it as like I'm feeling it right now. So if you want to know any more about this, feel free to put any questions in the comments box, and I'll be happy to converse with you there about what may be going on with you or your experiences or insights about how you're experiencing the transits right now, or how you experience certain um, uh, amplified energies. So feel free to do that. If you want to kind of go through the group process and refine your understanding of those outside conditioning forces, I want to remind you that I'm still working on the deconditioning blueprint. I am about to put up part 2. And if you're new to this, I'll just let you know that it's at a very, very reasonable price right now. If you want to hop in, you can get in on part 1. When I put up part 2, the price goes up to reflect that extra that I've put in. And we're having a call on Tuesday. So if you get in on that now, you can get caught up and you will not be behind. And even if you're new to human design, I actually have a couple of people in the deconditioning blueprint who are very new to human design, and I've put in my other beginner's course, the Discover Your Design, so you can start there, because that's all about your foundation for deconditioning as well. So wherever you are in your process, in the way that you want to engage, please share your experiences. I'd love to know how you are experiencing these things. And if you like this video, click the like button. And if you found it helpful, subscribe to get more videos like this, or maybe different videos that might be helpful for you. And share this video with anyone that you think may benefit. So that is it for now. I want to thank Judy for joining me, and all of you, those of you who are watching, Bings, Diane, Kay, and Judy, thank you for your comment. And I think that is it for now. Have a wonderful evening and a wonderful rest of your weekend.